가장 많은 논란을 낳았던 게임하면 이 게임을 가장 먼저 생각하실 겁니다. 바로 너티독이 개발한 라스트 오브 어스 파트 2인데요. 2020년 출시한 라오 파트 2는 전세계 유저들의 높은 기대감 속에서 출시했지만 전작 주인공을 무참하게 살해한 것은 물론 게임 속 PC 요소가 가득 묻어나 있어 많은 논란과 함께 역대급 호불호를 낳았던 게임입니다. 특히 평론가와 유저가 하는 평가가 극단적으로 갈리기도 했는데요. 그 게임을 만든 너티독이 개발 과정을 담은 그라운디드2 영상을 공개했습니다. 2시간 분량의 영상 속에는 게임을 기획하고 마케팅을 하고 개발하는 과정부터 많은 논란이 되었던 조엘을 죽인 이유와 직원들의 살해 협박 등 개발자들의 숨은 이야기를 담아내었습니다. 과연 개발자들은 대체 무슨 생각을 가지고 이 게임을 개발한 것인지 주요 내용들을 정리해봤습니다. 때는 라스트 오브 어스 파트 1의 출시 직후인 2013년 여름으로 올라갑니다. 개발진들은 라오 개발을 완성한 직후부터 그 후속작을 고민해왔으며 그 주인공은 엘리가 될 것이라고 생각했습니다. 그리고 2014년 7월 라오를 연기했던 배우들이 무대에 나와 특정 장면을 재현하게 되는데요. 너티독의 닐 드럭만 대표는 엘리가 기타 연주하는 이미지가 너무 강렬하여 예고편의 아이디어로 이어졌다고 합니다.
And I'm sure that kind of trickled into this idea of this trailer. So I started working on some concept art, kept fleshing out the story.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I fear no evil, because I'm blind to it all. Said I walk beside the still waters and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right, because I'm wrong.
그리고 2016년 11월 플레이스테이션 익스펠리언스 행사에는 처음으로 라오어 파트 2가 세상에 공개되는 날이었습니다. 행사에는 언차티드 잃어버린 유산이 공개되는 자리로 관객들은 라오어 파트 2가 공개될 것이라고는 아무도 예상하지 못했습니다.
When we first revealed The Last of Us, the Naughty Dog logo came up and the crowd erupted and it was such a high that that's almost been like chasing the dragon, like wanting to recapture that feeling.
Oh my God. Why does this look like The Last of Us, dude?
Playing it at this surprising moment, I'm hopeful it will have a similar feel.
What are you doing, kiddo?
People outside the studio have such an attachment to the first game, and I've definitely seen fears about not wanting to make a sequel because somehow if it's bad, it will tarnish your feeling about the first game.
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
닐 드럭만 대표는 속편의 주제는 개발에 투자할 가치가 있을 만큼 매력적이고 무게감이 있어야 한다고 생각을 했습니다. 그러면서 어떠한 주제에 대해 흥미를 느꼈다고 하는데요.
I became really intrigued with the idea of the cycle of violence and how like certain events would trigger acts of violence that then would beget more acts of violence. It's almost never satisfying. It never brings the person you love back. And despite you thinking it's going to bring some closure, it doesn't. We just need more empathy. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could create an experience that lets you safely explore those feelings? With that theme, all of a sudden everything fell into place and this outline emerged. The whole catalyst for what starts the second game is Joel killing the doctor. That feeds right back in that idea of that cycle of violence. Now it sets up this whole kind of sequence of events. We're gonna start the game where you're playing a new character. That sequence ends with this character killing Joel. And we really have to paint her as this monster. Then when you play the next chunk of the game and you're Ellie and you're gonna pursue justice, quote unquote, and you're gonna go kill this entire crew, we're gonna go back in time and show you that same sequence of events this character that you saw as a monster to now get you to see things from her perspective. And how this crew is a bunch of people trying to survive in this world. And they had their reasons for pursuing and finding Joel and killing him.
닐 드럭만 대표는 새로운 작가를 섭외해서 변화를 주고 싶었다며 헨리 그로스를 작가로 고용하게 됩니다. 해당 작가는 헐리우드에서도 레디컬 페미니스트로 잘 알려져 업계에서도 기피가 되던 대상이었습니다.
She's wanted to add more romantic intimacy between the characters. Those are areas that I've been, I don't know, more uncomfortable writing that stuff.
닐 드럭만 대표는 파트 2 제작을 시작했을 때 게임을 완전히 바꾸고자 하는 야심찬 목표가 있었다고 합니다. 개발 초기 5개월 동안은 블러드본에서 많은 영감을 받았다고 하는데요.
And like it was purely melee focused, like it was all hand-to-hand combat.
It wasn't just the melee combat, we were also looking at sort of layout structure. Bloodborne had a very sort of an open space that sort of kept getting bigger and bigger as you explored. I really like that feeling that you get of mastery over the world. It starts to become kind of almost a character in the game itself. And so that was also something we were looking at.
다가올 파리게임 6회에서 새로운 시네마틱을 공개하기로 결정합니다. 그 시네마틱의 주인공은 바로 애비였습니다.
Abby evolved over time. And if you look at the concept art, like the character looked very different than where we've ended up. And I don't remember at what point we decided to go with someone like really kind of muscular and broad. But I remember once the idea came up, it felt very fresh.
Once we sort of nailed down the body of Abby, we played around with different ideas of how we wanted to accentuate her arms or not.
And there's something interesting in Abby feeling a lot like Joel.
저는 애비와 조엘이 닮았다는 말에서 소름이 돋을 수밖에 없었는데요. 개발진들이 의도적으로 조엘의 대체자를 애비로 선정을 한 것 같은 느낌이 들었기 때문입니다. 그러면서 플레이어들이 애비에게 감정 이입을 하기 위한 여러 수단을 깔아놓게 됩니다.
So in gameplay we've discussed, well, she needs to have different upgrade trees. It means we have to make the investment of capturing a whole different moveset for Abby. We can't just remap Ellie's animation onto Abby.
Holy fuck.
Abby has a fear of height, and there's stuff we're doing with the camera to make you feel vertigo. And that helps build empathy. It makes this character real.
We let you both live. And you wasted it.
She's aesthetically a very intriguing and iconic and powerful character.
Abby, who are these kids? They saved my life. Can you take a look at her?
Once she's killed Joel, what is Abby's motivation? What is she trying to achieve? Her redemption is really taking care of Yara and Lev, these two kids that are from a warring faction.
그리고 2017년 파리게임 6회에서 새로운 시네마틱 영상을 공개하게 됩니다. 닐 드럭만은 처음 티저 영상을 공개했을 때 관객들을 과소평가했다고 하는데요.
When we first released the teaser trailer, too many people right off the bat said Joel is dead.
The blown out light really fucked us in a way I don't think any of us saw coming.
We actually underestimated our audience a little bit. They're so sophisticated now. So you have to get more sophisticated, like how am I still going to surprise players and viewers?
You start on characters you've never seen before in a world that like could be The Last of Us, could be anything. That creates like a really, really cool sense of tension.
At no point are we going to market that you play as this other character.
What is this? Yo, that looks good though.
I was so excited about working on it and I couldn't say anything. It was so rough.
Oh, is she gonna cut a baby out of her belly?
And then Uncharted 4, you find a comic book that shows Ellie's mom pregnant. So people already had theories that Last of Us Part 2 was going to have Ellie's mom. Oh, if we just kind of black out the letters. She has the same number of letters as Anna, Ellie's mom's name. We'll get people to think this is Ellie's mom.
Oh my god. Girl's got a good... That hammer's from the Outbreak poster.
So we had that poster with the forearm of a character you've never seen before, with this like kind of wolf's head in the background. What does that mean? You know, kind of like prompting this mystery.
You want people to feel like they've figured everything out and then have the story surprise them.
Man, if this is The Last of Us 2, bro, I'm gonna go crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god. Last of Us 2?
Yes! Yes! Yes, bitch! Yes! I fucking knew it!
이 장면에서는 게임 속 PC 요소에 대해서 개발진들의 생각을 간접적으로 확인할 수 있었습니다.
I don't think this story ever glorifies violence against women. There's no bias towards women or men. It just so happens that the two protagonists of this story are female, and therefore that's what you're going to see the most of.
There has to be fail states in video games, which means a character has to be capable of being hurt. So does that mean that there can be no female protagonists in video games? Because that feels super sexist to me. And frankly, like, women are the victims of violence, and don't we want to see women fucking fight back once in a while?
That character, her hand getting hurt, it has consequences for hours of gameplay to come.
One article even like asked the question, were any women involved in the making of this? And it's like, yeah, the co-writer, the lead character designer, the lead character artist, all the actresses that worked on that scene.
I am so fucking... Here's what I hate about that article. I'm sorry. Do a modicum of fucking research, just a modicum of research, just like a little bit before you put something out there to suggest that no woman could have worked on this because of the level of violence, because there was violence against women, because it is a video game, is so fucking sexist. I like watching graphic violence. Does that make me less female? Like, I like having a conversation about what power is. Does that make me less fucking female? I like working at a video game. I like playing video games. Does that make me less fucking female? Like, suck a dick. Don't put that in. I can't. I can't. Neil's gonna say put it in, but don't. I also don't represent all women, but I represent, like, I can represent this and say, I fucking wrote this. I wrote this. Like, I literally wrote the sentence, and then Yara eviscerates eviscerates his esophagus from his throat. I wrote that sentence. That is in the script, and I fucking stand by it. I'm afraid of being turned into a token rather than the truth, which is like, we're being thoughtful about the female narrative. These characters are more than just their vaginas. If you want to have a serious debate about feminism and feminism in video games and female depiction of violence, and you need to not see it as a binary conversation. And you cannot make presumptions. Fucking do your homework. I'm right here. I'm tweeting.
영상 속에는 게임 속 현실감을 살리기 위한 개발진들의 디테일한 제작 과정도 공개했습니다. 벽에 뿌려진 뇌수가 흐르는 장면부터 벽에 피가 튀거나 흘러내리는 장면 등 유체 표현을 위해 실제 동물의 피를 실험하기도 했으며, 양고기 뼈를 대신하여 망치로 두들기면 어떻게 변형되는지 확인을 하고, 좀비가 사람을 먹을 때는 피가 얼마나 묻어나 있는지 실험하는 등 실감나는 장면을 위해 개발자들이 직접 몸으로 체험하는 장면을 선보이고 있습니다. 배우들의 모션 캡처를 이용한 제작 과정도 공개되었습니다. 공개된 장면은 바로 조엘의 죽음이었는데요.
Joel Miller.
Who are you?
Guess.
Why don't you just get out whatever speech you rehearsed? Get this over with.
You don't get to rush this.
At the end, I really loved what he brought to it.
I couldn't wait to get back into Ellie's shoes again because it's where, weirdly, I feel most comfortable in a lot of ways because it feels like a character that feels the most like me that I've ever played, which is a little disturbing. I mean, minus like the murder and the killing.
So it's almost like a bit of step forward, like you're about to like lunge and shoot.
Sweet.
The biggest change that has happened since initial pitch is Ellie is there when Joel is killed. It used to be she came across the body, and then she had to rely on Tommy's testimony of what happened. And we shifted it, which made it much more dramatic and intense for her. And I think puts more of it on screen and again, allows you better to understand why she needs to pursue these people.
The hardest part for me was looking over at Ashley.
No! No!
Knowing that Troy was gonna not be a part of it as much was really hard. And knowing that Joel was not gonna be in Ellie's life anymore, it was hard. So much of that day kind of feels like a blur because there were so many feelings involved in it.
What I had to do, I felt was very, very little. There's one reaction, and beyond that, we're on Ashley. There was no acting. There was pure, raw emotion. I'm staring in the face of that.
Joel! Why are you doing this? Get the fuck off me!
I'd lost a little bit of my voice. I couldn't scream like as loud as I wanted to, you know, to get that frustration and that sadness out.
Ashley was behind, crying, and God. And knowing Abby was taking this away from her was very difficult. And so I was crying when we were filming that scene. Yes, it was very emotional.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Wait, please stop! No! No! Joel! Joel! No! No!
We want him to die in this really unforgiving sort of way. Like it needs to feel senseless for you to say, fuck these people, I'm gonna pursue them to the ends of the earth and make them pay.
그리고 E3 2018에서 공개할 데모 버전을 제작하게 됩니다. 너티독 최고 수준의 개발력을 확인할 수 있었는데요.
Looking at the cinematics first. Because we did it so early and had like a rough version of it a year in advance, we got a bit complacent.
She's putting on quite the show.
For this game, there was a major push to make a new volumetric fog system. It's not just like a kind of an overlay on top of the screen. That's why it's called volumetric. You feel the volume of it. It's gonna be a little bit thicker near the ground, right? Because there, you know, and you will see grass kind of getting through it. Fog also allows you to see the light. Fog adds atmosphere. Atmosphere brings everything together. Now with this game, we did add recently some new tech that allows us to make some of the water drips more dynamic, meaning that if you have a car, you will see a water follow the glass, follow the hood, and then from the bumper, you're gonna start seeing dynamic droplets. So that was really cool. And then we can now actually also use this technology to drive blood. Now we can have blood dripping, and we have water dripping.
We want these characters to just feel grounded and believable in the world, properly shifting their weight and moving the way a real human would.
Any one mechanic is not maybe anything you haven't seen before. It's the combination of how it all comes together, the way it works with the animation system.
The new stuff we're talking about is like, oh, you can be in grass.
She went into the grass. Watch yourself.
Like one of the biggest things we do in the demo is jump a gap. It's tough to be like, oh crap, you can jump, you know, like it's like, but it's new to our game.
We have to have the best prone mechanic of all time. Yeah, no one's ever seen when I aim in prone and she actually like rolls up on her back and aims like this. Like it can never clip through geometry. Being able to rotate 360 in all directions. It can never like do a janky thing when she's reloading while doing it or aiming in water. There's like an IK thing that like lift her chest and head up and then it gets too deep. Now we're in a special prone underwater moveset thing. Her chest and arms and everything are kind of matching ground plane. Things that a player will never notice. And it's because we like purposely did it. There's no such thing as like, oh, you know, it's not as good as, you know, this other game's one, but like, it's fine. It's gotta be like, no, it's fucking Naughty Dog. We have to have the best version of the thing, whatever that is.
1년간의 데모 버전 개발 끝에 E3 2018에서 처음 게임 플레이 영상이 공개되었습니다.
On the Naughty Dog logo, you get this big cheer. On the Ellie reveal, you get this big cheer. Every moment that we've constructed and planned like meticulously for really a year now hit the way we wanted it to hit.
Maybe they're jealous of you. I'm just a girl, not a threat. I think they should be terrified of you.
One of the biggest reactions was when the HUD came on. They looked at that forest and thought, there's no way it can look this good, like that's impossible. But when we flash the HUD and be like, yeah, that's it, this is the real game, people are not ready for this, like this is gonna fuck you up.
See, I told you. They should be terrified.
It was electric. My skin was like tingling the whole time.
해당 영상을 본 유저들은 최고의 애니메이션이라는 극찬을 하기도 했지만 일부 유저들은 가짜 영상이라는 냉소적인 의견을 내비치기도 했습니다.
I guess it's kind of a compliment to the animation team for like someone to say it's fake when they're working so hard. And right away I responded, I was like, don't respond, don't do anything, like it's just not professional.
I was also a little anxious about it because it's a little fake, you know? Fake is an interesting word. There's an argument that he's right.
It's not the final polished game. You can't just play this demo in any way. You have to play it in this very specific way. But before we even show the demo, it's like, let's not put anything in there we feel like we can't do.
There was no thing of like, we don't know how we're gonna do that. It was just, we literally just don't have it systemic yet. You know, like systemically, a guy pulling you out from underneath a car, we didn't have that hooked up yet. Now we have it hooked up in the game.
It's her! Arthur! All over soon.
하지만 게임 규모를 봤을 때 2019년 출시는 비현실적이라는 것을 깨닫고 2020년 2월로 출시를 연기하게 됩니다. 대신 새로운 트레일러를 제작하게 되는데요. 바로 조엘이 계속해서 함께하는 것 같은 모습이 담겨진 가짜 복선을 심은 문제의 트레일러였습니다. 앞서 닐 드럭만은 유저들이 예상하지 못하는 가짜 복선을 이용하여 마케팅을 했었던 만큼 이 문제의 장면도 의도적으로 제작했다는 것을 알 수 있습니다. 그리고 2019년 12월 코로나19 팬데믹이 발생하였고 결국 라오는 무기한 발매 연기를 결정하게 됩니다. 무기한 발매 연기로 많은 팬들이 분노를 하였고 한 20대의 열성 팬은 너티독 서버를 해킹하여 개발 영상을 유출하는 초유의 사태가 일어나게 됩니다.
A video goes up on YouTube, and I don't remember what the first video was, but it was something relatively benign.
But they weren't like super important scenes. You know, they were like little clips, and it was like, okay, that's a little weird. What is that?
All out of order and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's bad.
And you kind of wanted to just say, stop, wait, don't watch it. Like, you're gonna ruin things for yourself.
There's YouTubers I've watched for years, and they're making entire videos, and the title is like, fuck Naughty Dog. And fuck The Last of Us Part 2.
There's just all this negativity and no positivity because no one has played the game. They just have these videos out of context and all these rumors mixed with them. Abby is playable.
They thought Abby was trans because she has muscles.
Here's the ending if they kill Ellie.
And then it just turned into this whole political thing. Oh, Naughty Dog's they're doing this political shit.
And then I get this text from Evan. They just posted Joel's death. And my heart sinks. I can't even describe this feeling. It's just this like dread. It's almost like you just heard someone you care about died. I don't know, that's the closest I could come to. I'm bombarded with hundreds of negative comments, death threats, anti-Semitic comments. It's putting me in a deep depression.
There's some stupid stuff that's like, you're a feminazi, you're whatever, shit like that. But it's like some stuff was really like, you know, disturbing.
The hatred, I think that was behind it. I was sad. Like there were a lot of days where I would just cry.
Every time I went online, it was just, that's all I saw was death threats and threats of violence. And the worst of it, the really like hardcore death threats got passed along, and they, you know, made sure that they weren't anyone that like lived close by. Yeah, they were like threatening my son, you know, who was born during all of it. And yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But, you know, more than anything, it just kind of like, it kind of like taught me to kind of keep a distance, you know?
And that was the lowest point in my life. I'm working on the game towards the end at home by myself, feeling very alone. And I said, who am I doing this for? Like, why? It's too much. And I barely squeaked by.
그리고 2020년 6월 19일 많은 논란과 함께 라스트 오브 어스 파트 2가 출시하게 됩니다.
And then we started winning award after award after award. I wanted that validation for the team. Everyone at Naughty Dog, I can't wait to hug and high five and get drunk with each one of you. That's going to have to wait till next year. And more than anything, and I know that I speak for the whole team when I say this, we'd like to thank our friends and family that stood by us and supported us throughout us making this game. You inspire us not only to make better, more meaningful games, but to improve how we make games.
마지막으로 닐 드럭만은 라오어 3의 출시 가능성을 시사했습니다.
I did some other interview where someone asked me about The Last of Us and would there be any more stories or something, and I mentioned, like, you know, we have written a story that takes place after Last of Us 2 that stars Tommy. and I hope one day we get to make it. And the headlines across the industry were like, Naughty Dog has outlined Last of Us Part 3. And that's actually wrong. It was always a small story. It was never like a full title. At the time, we had higher priorities at Naughty Dog, was like to fix our pipeline, to fix work-life balance issues. Just based on where we were, I didn't want to prioritize this story, so that story was shelved. And I still believe one day it will see the light of day. I don't know if it'll be a game or a show, TBD. First game had such a clean concept of like the unconditional love a parent feels for their child. The second one, once we landed on this idea of the pursuit of justice at any cost, justice for the ones you love, it felt like, oh, there's a clean concept here, and there's a through line from the first game about love. If we never get to do it again, this is a fine ending point. And right, last bite of the apple, the story's done. The great thing about working at Naughty Dog is that we don't have to. It's always like, we would love another Last of Us, but if you guys feel like we're passionate about something else, we'll support this other thing. Very privileged position to be in. I never take that for granted. I've been just thinking about, okay, is there a concept there? And for now years, I haven't been able to find that concept. But recently that's changed. And I don't have a story, but I do have that concept that to me is as exciting as 1, as exciting as 2, is its own thing, and yet has this through line for all 3. So it does feel like there's probably one more chapter to this story.
해당 영상은 조회수 52만 회를 기록할 정도로 많은 화제가 되었는데요. 개발자들의 노고는 인정할 수밖에 없지만 전작의 주인공이었던 조엘을 죽이고 토미를 반병신으로 만든 것도 모자라 페미니즘과 동성애가 가득한 불편한 스토리는 여전히 이해할 수 없는 부분입니다. 이미 망가질 대로 망가진 시나리오라 3편이 나온다고 해도 전혀 기대가 되지 않는데요. 과연 라스트 오브 어스 3는 분노한 유저들의 민심을 회복하고 명예회복에 성공할 수 있을지 너티독의 행보에 관심이 집중되고 있습니다. 여러분들은 영상을 보고 어떤 생각이 드셨나요? 댓글로 공유해 주시길 바랍니다. 오늘 영상은 여기까지입니다. 그럼 모두들 휘바 휘바.